Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to one of our Hobby Memorial Library events. And this is our partnership with Mayborn Science Theater and CTC Astronomer Warren Hart, who's going to be doing another night sky tour, but this time in April. So, hey, Warren.
Hey, good to see you and
Yep,
all of those that are going to be watching our episode here.
yep. Well, I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's bring up if you want to go through how to find what we're going to post, the calendar and the other thing, the constellations. So I'll let you talk them through.
All right. So if you go to our library website, you go on down until you see research study guides. And in that research study guide, and as you can see, we've got a lot of them for all subjects here at CTC. But if you hit Astronomy and Mayborn Science Theater, then this is where we have a lot of the theater's information. And this is, books, resources, a little bit of everything on this. And this is where we have our night sky calendars. So,
Okay, now I have uh, cross-checked here for you on our first calendar, and this is April, as you can see. And a couple of other things that we'd have on Sunday, there, March the 31st, we are 8 days from the total solar eclipse. And then on Monday, then it's a week away. And of course, that means it's 7 days. And then each one of you can count down and you see the day of the total solar eclipse day, which will be Monday. And there. And so let's talk about, first of all, what we have. On Monday, there is the last quarter of the moon, and we are one phase away from when we on the total solar eclipse day, and I'll point that out here for us as we get down to it. So there's that on Monday, a week from the total solar eclipse. And then over on Saturday,
wait,
you
Warren,
will notice,
before you jump to
yes.
Saturday, that Wednesday, April 3rd, is when you're doing your eclipse event, eclipse safety here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so I
didn't
want to
have
remind
that
everybody
on
about
there.
that one. Yeah.
Okay, good. So that'll be the safety thing of what to do and what not to
At
do.
noon.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then on into the afternoon when the eclipse is actually going to happen. Now, then on Saturday, we have our first two of the 8 constellations for April, or the 7 constellations, excuse me. And so if you'll look on there, we have, and these are both low in the on our horizon, but we can see them and a part of one. So let's go to our first one there, which is Corvus the Crow. And there you go. Thank you, Cindy. Uh, and one of the ways that I use Corvus the Crow, you see the top of the little box that we've made up. That's theoretically the body of the crow. And that with the angle there that we have from star number 3 over to number 5 and 6, you notice they go up, they're pointing to the left there, and there's a large black dot circle over there, and it's in the constellation of Virgo, and that is the main star in Virgo. We'll get that later on here as we go through, and that's Corvus the Crow is very helpful in helping us to find the constellation of Virgo and also that star. So Corvus the Crow we have, and it's low down, and if you notice there is nothing on that page concerning our southern horizon. That means that we can see from here, we will be able to see all of Corvus the Crow. And that's not going to continue as we go along, and I'll point that out to you. Our second constellation, which would be just coming down a little, and there it is, there is Crux. And two things, if you look up at the very top, the top three lines, and I put it in red, if as that Crux is the smallest, it's the 89th largest, so it is the smallest area devoted to a constellation in the sky. It just barely uncovers, if you will, the Southern Cross on that. And also notice, here's our problem, if you will, going right across the top third of it, there is our southern horizon. We get questions from people that call into the planetarium or others will contact, and can we see the Southern Cross? And I say, yes, you can, part of it. And notice here, of the four major stars in Crux, we can see the top two of them. Now, if you traveled here in Texas, way on down to the bottom and down there, and then you would have a deeper, a lower horizon, and you would be able to see more of it at that time. So here is our second of our seven constellations, and this is Crux. And if those who've been going along with us, you know that 2 months ago I was talking about the false cross, which would be way over to the right, and that's not one to be used for navigation. This one is, and the line from the top star, which is number 4, and the bottom star, which is number 3, you could follow that line, if you want to say, and going down and would be able to determine where the South Pole is in the sky. And the people for many centuries that were navigators out on boats and ships, they did use in the Southern Hemisphere, they used Crux here to help them as they navigated around wherever they might be. Okay, so that takes care of our first week in the calendar, and now we're going to go to our second week, and that's our big event week, if you will. Notice there's going to be some things that are going to add more emphasis to the actual solar eclipse. Let's look at Sunday on the 7th. And if you see the third thing down from moonrise, sunrise, then it says the moon is at its perigee location. Now, we've talked about perigee and apogee, and it should help you when you read it. It says that this perigee is the 5th closest one of the 13 perigean moons for the year. So Cindy, do you remember how we can help ourselves to determine which one is which?
Perigee means it's perilously close, guys.
Yes. Now, yeah, and let me ask another question. The closer the moon is to us, and here it happens to be the 5th close, what does that do for us for the size of how it looks in the sky?
It's bigger, right? It's
Yes,
larger.
indeed.
Mhm.
So we have that for us. Fortunately, it's not at the far end of the apogee, we'd have trouble with it. So we got a perigee moon that is very much closer to us. Then let's go to the actual box for the solar eclipse. And you go in there and you'll see the first thing I put that the moon's penumbra shadow, that's the gray shadow. You say, what in the world is that? Well, let me just suggest to you on a sunshine day, if you are outside, turn and put your back to the sun and then look down on the ground or the sidewalk or the pavement, whatever you're standing on, and look at your main shadow. You will see that there is a darker outline of your body, but also there is a grayer line that goes on around. And so that is the gray shadow. And when the gray shadow of the penumbra comes as the moon travels through in the sky, and the edge of that gray shadow, we say, comes in contact as it looks like to us from here on Earth. It doesn't actually contact, of course, but when it seems to come in contact on the edge of the sun, that is called contact 1. And notice the abbreviation up there, it's C1. And this means that the partial solar eclipse begins. And the partial is the one dealing with the penumbra shadow. Now let's go on down, look at the time. That happens at 12:18, 12:19 in the afternoon during the lunch hour, if you want to say that. And we're going to see how long it takes for the actual total solar eclipse to begin. The next thing down, we also have another piece of information, very important. And notice our moon has now gone from what we saw up there in the first week at the third or the last uh, position of it. We're now at the new location, which means that we would have a straight line from Earth looking to the sun, and the moon would be directly in line with us. Now, a third thing that needs to be involved, and it's worked out because we're going to get the eclipse, the moon's orbit around Earth goes all the way around, all 360 degrees. But the orbit is actually for the moon is tilted. It's not horizontal with us. It's tilted about 5 to 6 degrees. So I get questions periodically. Well, how many new moons do we get in a year? And we get 12, 13, or 14 of them. And they say, well, then isn't there an eclipse every year, every time it comes around? Well, there's the possibility, but throughout the year, the moon, as it comes around in the new position for us, it may be above where its shadow would not touch Earth, or it may be below again where its shadow would not touch Earth. So we don't have it every time. We have the possibility. Everything's lined up with the exception that the moon's orbit is the last final thing that needs to be set correctly here for us. So the new moon is there at 1:21. So already we've gone an hour and about about 2 to 3 minutes. And then the next that's in red, and here is when the total solar eclipse phase actually begins. And this would be called contact number 2. Notice what I've written on there. The moon's umbra, and that's the dark shadow. That's the one we want. Its shadow will also, as it comes, it will look like it comes and touches and contacts the edge of the sun. At what time? 1:36 in the afternoon. Look up at the top. When did the partial begin? 12:18, 12:19. So it's been already an hour and about 17 minutes. So it takes a long time for this to start up, but then it goes through real quickly. So as the moon continues in its path and relationship to the sun, and as we view from here on Earth, there is a time when we get the next one, which we call the maximum. In other words, the moon is perfectly centered over the face, we call it, of the sun, the umbra, the dark part. And so we are having our total solar eclipse. And that's for another only barely 2 minutes and 10 seconds, if you will, from the beginning. Now, continues on. And then we have our first time when the total solar eclipse ends, and that's when the trailing edge of the moon. Now, we'll say that the leading edge is what we've been talking about up there with C1, the penumbra, and then C2, the umbra. Those would be the leading edge of the shadow of the moon. And now we're going to walk and look at, in relation, the trailing edge of the moon's shadow. And in this case, here comes contact point number 3, which is the last part of time that the moon has covered entirely the entire sun, and that is at 1:40 and almost 30 seconds there. So we have, if you count, go back up to the first to contact 2 when the solar eclipse begins from 36 to 40. It's about 4 minutes and approximately 27 seconds is what we're going to get. That is more than 2 minutes than the previous one, that a total solar eclipse across the United States. It was just over 2 minutes. So we have an additional 2 minutes, and that's very helpful for us. The moon continues to travel as in its orbit, and eventually the umbra is gone from the face of the sun, and the partial penumbra is still a little bit on it. And at the trailing edge of the partial shadow, if you will, the penumbra, the gray one, it leaves at 2:59 in the afternoon. So if you look from there up to the very top for the gray penumbra, that is 12:12, that's 2 hours, if you will, and 47, about 47, 40 minutes on it. And that's then everything is clear. All of the 2 shadows, if you will, of the moon lost contact, if you will, with the sun. And so that last one would be contact point 4. All of that just to let you know, as far as the time period, and what is going on through there. You can print out this calendar in this page and either cut out that little box if you want or have it with you, and you will have a general idea of what time what is going to begin and what time it's going to end. Okay? Are there any questions anyone would have on the total solar eclipse?
No, I think we're just all preparing for it.
Okay,
I mean, we're gonna have some really cool things happening here on campus that
okay,
weekend and that day. So,
all right. Cindy, if you will scroll back up to the first week. I did not put it on there, my error, but it's on, what day did you say? The
Wednesday,
safety? Wednesday
the
the 8th.
April 3rd.
Third, April the 3rd,
Yes,
there.
at noon. And
Uh,
it'll be virtual. We can watch it on uh YouTube and Facebook. And make sure you guys watch it though, because you don't want to hurt your eyes.
That's right, because hurting your eyes is permanent, whatever you do to your eyes. Uh, so you have to be very careful of it. And there needs to be, wherever you are, someone is either calling out or you're keeping track of knowing it's not yet time for you to take your uh, eclipse glasses off or the binocular or whatever you have and look. As long as any little speck, if you want to call it, of the sun is shining around the edge of the moon's shadow there, you have to wait. But it's only very little, yes, but it will damage your eyes uh, there. And so you just wait, and then you will get into your 4 minutes and 27 seconds of total solar eclipse.
Yep.
All right, let's then, after that, we're going to go over to, let's see, to Wednesday, the 10th, and we have our fourth constellation. And well, I didn't even mention back there, I was all wrapped up in the perigee. Back on Monday,
Yeah.
the 7th, my error, I overlooked good old Musca the fly. Now, notice here, see where the horizon is, our southern horizon? You're not going to see any of it unless you travel way down south. And there is Musca the fly right at the base of Crux, the Southern Cross. Okay, so let's go back to the calendar, and then we go and to over to the Wednesday the 10th, and we have Coma Berenices. This is the only constellation that is actually named of a real person. There was a leader, a ruler, dictator, whatever he was, in charge, and he said, I want my daughter's name in the sky. And so this is her hair and Coma Berenices. And so Berenice was her name. And then here you have it there. And notice it is just almost right directly overhead. And there is our latitude just at the top part of it. And so along our latitude is directly overhead. And if you looked up to look for Coma Berenice, you would just see her just a little bit toward the south rather than directly overhead there. So here she is, and we'll go on from here. And Coma Berenice gives us then the fourth of our 7 constellations. We have 3 to go. All right, let's go back to the calendar. And by the way, if you wonder what's all that SR, MR, SS, MS, and will remind me, if you will, we'll see what that is. I have it on the calendar so you'll understand, and I believe you'll be able to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, I figured it out when you started putting it on the calendars. I'm like, what am I looking at? And then I figured it out.
There you go. Well, go ahead and scroll up to the top, very top of it. And
Yep.
there you see in the second line, there is the MR, that's moonrise, MS, moonset, SR, sunrise, SS, sunset. And rather than write that out every time, there you are. And
Yeah.
that'll be on each calendar.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go on down to our third week, and let's see what we have. Well, over on Sunday the 14th, there is our fifth of the constellations, and that's Centaurus, the Centaur. And let's take a look there. And here it is. And notice, if you will, as we go down, that last month we had Hydra, and there she is up above, and she is traveling on through, real long. And then here's the Centaurus. And notice what is up just in between his four legs. There, down below in the gray, there is Crux, the Southern Cross. So Centaurus is straddling, if you will, or jumping over the cross, however you want to explain that. Now, here we have an Centaurus as a centaur is one that we have read about. Many people have on centaur, and note, if you will, maybe you'll come up with this. Back in your earlier lifetime, or maybe even currently, if you are a science fiction reader, I would believe you are familiar with the name of a very prominent star that's in Centaurus. And there it is in the bottom left, star number 27. And that is Alpha Centauri. And that the reason that had been chosen for by the science fiction writers is that Alpha Centauri is the second closest star to us in the sky. There's actually another one that's just a little bit closer, barely, but you would have to use a telescope to find it. But here, Alpha Centauri, if you don't have to go very far south. If you went down to San Antonio, I am pretty sure you're going to have that. And then if you want to go on clear on down to the bottom of the state, then you would definitely have it there. And probably, if I would figure it out for us, that you would have all of the cross. But here it is, Alpha Centauri, the bright one, and it's just around 4 light years away. So it is very close to us in relation to everything else that we have in the sky. And let's see, that is, if we would, it's going to be our number 6, if I have counted up correctly. Yeah, that's correct. And nope, it's the fifth one. Off one. Now we're going to go over, and the moon is continuing on from the new moon to a first quarter location there on Monday the 15th. We travel on over, and we come up on Thursday the 18th, and we're going to have a couple of things that are going to happen here. First, there in the first column, is that the sun, it goes around. I just indicate what constellation it happens to be in. Of course, we can't see it, or you don't want to see it there, but it's moving into Taurus the Bull. And then we have in the evening, we have our sixth of our seven constellations, and that is Canis Venatici. And here we go, Cindy. Thank you very much. And notice the predominance of information we have in Canis Venatici. Well, that's it. Any questions? Not a whole lot, is it? And notice it's just the opposite down below the latitude. There's Coma Berenices, and here is just above our latitude, if you will, toward the North Pole. There is Canis Venatici.
I have
So,
a question.
sure.
How is that hunting dogs?
Well, you would have to ask whoever centuries ago decided to call them the hunting dogs. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a dog. Canis, that means dog, and canis would be plural. And I guess venatici, I don't know the Latin that much, is hunting. So there we have. And that's the limit of my knowledge of Canis Venatici. Didn't take long. You drained it all out of me. Okay.
And you didn't even answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could look up. I got a book on the mythology of the different ones. Okay, the third week. Hold on. Don't scroll down too much. There you go. Uh, we go past, if you will, there on Thursday, Canis Venatici. The next day, Friday, the moon has in its orbit, it's now at its apogee. It's farthest away from us. And so it's at the opposite side, if you will, from the perigee in its orbiting of the moon around Earth. Then on Saturday, the 20th, we're going to have our final April constellation, and that is Virgo the Virgin. So here she is. Now, and you see on there, Virgo is the largest constellation that is going along. Notice the diagonal line going along there called the ecliptic. That's the path of the sun. You see there our sun is at a junction point of the ecliptic and the equator, and it's going to be going down as that. And this is how we tell or determine our calendar seasons. And so at that point right there, the intersection is the time when we would say our autumnal or our fall time period, that time starts for the season that we there.
Is that
And
is that the autumn or is that the spring? Because don't we have the spring equinox in
that's in June.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, this is where the sun is, but it's not, that's the location, but things have to work out like you were asking. That happens in our our time, let's see, June, July, August, September.
Okay.
This is when the sun is at that point. The intersection is still there all the time, but when we have the sun at the intersection, that happens in September.
Okay, that makes
Good
sense.
point. Good point. Yeah, don't go out and say, hey, it's fall already. No, not quite.
It's raining.
Okay. And all of Virgo, of course, is visible for us. And so here we have the Virgo, and the maiden line is down, or however you want to describe this. And like I said, that's the largest constellation area along the path of the ecliptic. So um, there we go on that. Okay, let's go back to our calendar. We've finished up, if you will, with Virgo. So we'll go down to our next to last row, and we would go over to Tuesday, the 23rd, and the moon has gone on around as now opposite from the side where the sun would be. So the line from the sun would be sun, Earth, and then moon. And the moon there at its full location. That's what we have. Then on Wednesday, the 24th, we have
Actually,
our, and it's going to
one,
be changed, and I failed
it's
to
the
do that. Okay.
23rd.
Yes.
It'd be the 23rd.
Okay. The day prior. So as you can tell, that's an old calendar I put down, and that's my error.
No,
Okay, then on Saturday the 27th will be the May constellations, and there's 9.5 of them. Well, that's an odd thing. The May has 9.5 constellations. Well, you have to come and I'll explain what that means. So that is going to be there in there on that Saturday evening, 5:30 till 6:30 or 7 when I finish up. Then let's see, we go on down and we notice on the last row we have that the sun has moved on through, and Taurus, it was in Taurus, the bull, but it was just a little bitty part of it because now the sun is in Aries, the ram, and that little point. On the last day of April, the 30th, we will have gone through all of these constellations we're talking about, and we have a total of 26 of the 88 constellations that we have viewed and looked at them. And that's right at 30% of the 88. And as you progress on through into December, when you have finally the last of the 88. And then you notice there on May the 1st, mentioned then as 9.5 constellations, and the moon as it is traveling around, it goes from a full location to a last quarter, so it's a waning crescent. Just like up there at the full on the 23rd, it's a waning gibbous. Now, waning means that whatever you're observing, whatever is losing its light or its strength, and gibbous means hump, H-U-M-P, like a camel's hump. And this would be well, there's two groups of camels. There's the bacterian and the dromedary. So which one would this be that we're talking about? Which one? Well, if it's the gibbous there, then it'll be a dromedary, one hump. Dromedary is one hump.
okay.
Bacterian is two. Now, how in the world you come up with that? Take the capital letter D and swing it, turn it counterclockwise
Oh,
90
okay.
degrees, and there is your single hump.
Okay.
Take your bacterian take your capital letter B, turn it counterclockwise 90 degrees, and there are your two humps.
Smart.
Hey, all right. And I didn't come up with that. I read about that. It was told there. Okay, so that's pretty well then of the events through April. We finish up the last day of March. We get all of April, and we get the first four to finish the week here for May. So there we are, a very eventful, full of different things and one-ofs as we go through the month of April.
Yeah, and don't forget again, guys, that eclipse event will the eclipse safety will be on the 3rd, and don't miss the eclipse.
Correct.
Like, don't sleep through it, guys. If you get the day off, don't sleep through it.
There you
Um,
go.
well, thank you, Warren. Warren, we're gonna have one more night sky tour for next month, and
In May.
then
Yep.
we're gonna have our favorite CTC astronomer retire on us.
Yeah. We got to find out who that is.
Yes, yes. So make sure you guys watch it next month, because that's going to be Warren's retirement, and we're going to miss him greatly.
Well,
Um,
just pay attention. You get your last chance. My memory is losing. It's just dripping out, going faster and faster. So no telling what I will say there in April about May. I may get myself so convoluted, mixed up. No telling, and they'll
no, you
boot me
won't.
out of here.
No, you won't. Guys, his wife's forcing him to do it. You know he doesn't want to leave us. All right. Well,
Okay.
Warren, thank you so much,
Thank
and we
you.
will see you next time.
See y'all.
All right.